Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Kai Shulin project, where last time we primed everything. It finally doesn't look like clay. And this time is going to be all about finally starting to do the real painting and adding color. But first thing, real quick, just as anyone who wants to be a little kind of DIY, do-it-yourselfer kind of at home, you want to touch things up, you want to do woodwork, all of this is clay, except the gun here was made out of wood, and if you ever want to know how to curve wood, make it bend, can do nice things. If you have like a chair like in the back, you see these bows that kind of come around. This one's metal, but if you have like the ones that everyone know how to curve wood like that. Essentially, it requires three things. You need heat, you need moisture, and then you need pressure to kind of actually do it. So apply enough heat and put enough moisture in there, it will make it flexible under the correct kind of conditions. And why that means absolutely nothing for the model itself, but what that means if you prime, say, this, or if you're priming like door trims, window trims, any kind of home project you might have, when you add primer, the primer has moisture in it. So what that's going to do is that's going to curve or kind of curl the individual wood fibers on whatever project you're doing, and then it will harden once the primer itself hardens. So what that does, it just means any kind of wood project that you have that you're either priming or painting will become very rough after priming it. It may have been smooth before, but it's rough now. So anytime you have a kind of wood project like that, it's worth going and just doing a real quick sanding over, just to kind of then re-smooth down those little wood grains that have now curled themselves due to, yeah, the moisture in the primer you were using or in the paint you were using. So anytime you're working with wood, you're always going to be kind of doing a little light sanding in between coats of anything to make it kind of work, feel good, be good, and just a good life lesson to have for things outside of just this kind of model making. So I'm just going to do this real quick, just to kind of get a light something. You're not going to see any of that change on here, but I can already feel there's definitely a tactile difference just from what I've done versus what it was before. Okay, now that said, we're not going to be touching the rifle today. That is going to be placed on the side. So I've, time permitting, there are three distinct areas I want to get to, and that's going to be the skin tones. I want to get like the face, the hands, the arms. That's really it that she has exposed. I want to get the, I keep calling them yoga pants. Let's call them tactical yoga pants. That light gray kind of in the back down here, kind of in the upper thigh, kind of hidden down here. There's a little bit comes on the side. So you get the light gray on that. And then time permitting, we're going to get a coat on the hair itself. So our question becomes, what colors are they? Well, the game gets kind of interesting. It's kind of a screenshot from the opening cutscene, and if we go from the images, the concept art I've been using throughout this entire session, you can see the grays are very gray, kind of the leather parts going down. I keep calling them light black, but it's either like a really dark gray or almost a black. The hair matches exactly the same color, so we have that, matches the straps underneath, matches this, matches the shoes. It's like the whole 9 yards. And that's all nice. If we come down and look at another one of the concept arts, we kind of have a little bit of the same thing going. Those colors are very kind of gray, black, and whatever. But if you get to the actual game images, this one's from chapter 1 in game as I'm swinging the camera around. And you can see the grays aren't really like that light gray kind of yoga pant thing isn't really gray. It has a little more kind of an earthy tone mixed in. Same with the blacks here. They've kind of a little bit more earthy tone. The hair is no longer really dark black. It's actually more of a brown kind of color in there. Almost like a lighter brown. And the colors change a little bit if we come into, that was chapter 1, come into chapter 3, where she's now rendered without the camouflage on there. It's kind of the same thing. The grays have kind of that earthy tone put in. So I think for my own aesthetic choice between the crisp, clean image on the concept art and kind of the more earthy actual game images on this, I think I'm going to aim more towards the game image. This just feels more correct. Again, if we're doing a soldier type character, that just feels more, yeah, gritty, I guess is the word. So we're going to go with that. And the three colors we're going to be using for the skin, the pants, and the hair is, believe it or not, we're going to start with a very pink rose color for the skin. It is going to look 100% wrong on this first coat. Now, like I said, we're going to be doing multiple coats on top of things. This is a very kind of pinkish red kind of color. You can see it doesn't go anywhere with her skin. But if you look at your own skin, sorry, I have some paint from work that got on there from earlier. We were doing little kind of tiny trim pieces, and there's no way to avoid it. You can see kind of that kind of pinkish look underneath. You have the veins, you have the capillaries, you have your arteries and stuff running through. Skin is kind of that semi-translucent, semi-transparent kind of thing, so you can see all those kind of blood vessels underneath. So my first coat is going to have kind of that blood vessel look going in it, and then after that, I'm going to do a top coat that's going to be much, much more in line with what we see here. And usually when you paint something, you may cover like 98, 99% of the surface area, but there's always going to be that little bit you kind of see through. So if you see through that top coat, you're going to get a little bit of that kind of capillary look underneath. So we're going to start with the skin looking tremendously wrong in this session, but when we come back again for the final coat, it's all going to come together. As for the yoga pants themselves, I'm always going to call them that. It's just what they are. I'm sorry, it just is. I was going to start with just the gray, but again, to give it that little more earthy, I'm going to mix a little bit of this mocha in with that, and that should kind of bring that down to an earthiness. Now, this might turn out, I was going to use kind of more a brown kind of mix, a really light thing but that's going to darken it up too much, and I'm still not sure. This might still wind up being a little dark in the end. So we'll see. Final coat, I may add just a touch of white to kind of tone it back down again. But we'll see how this works out on the first coat. And kind of the same with the hair. The hair, I'm not sure, because the hair goes anywhere from like a black hair all the way down to, that's just standard, almost bangs brown hair going on there. So I'm going to start somewhere in the middle. I'm going to have primarily, actually it might be like a 50-50 mix between the brown and the black. And these are going to be the satin. I want to give it a little bit of shine. The other two are going to be mattes. I don't want them to stand out. And we're just going to see where that goes on the hair. Because again, the hair, how it's rendered, is completely different depending on which source we're using. So that's where we are. That's where we're going to stand. We are 8 minutes in. Let's go and do this. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get the head. I don't need the head to be on there, but we have this type of stuff. I can put it on. We don't need that. That's going to be out of the way. We don't need. That's going to be out of the way. That's going to be a whole separate issue coming later. The arms we will need. Arm. Come back to me, arm. I need it. I need you. Let's see. The torso and knife, we don't need any of that. There's no skin showing on there. The legs we will need. I don't need the ammo belt. So I did have one person stop me earlier and wondering how I actually hardened these and kept them in shape. What I'd done was I just made like a little jig and I just hung them on there, and that's how I hardened them. So for this purpose, just to get them out of the way, I can just hang them on there and we can just move them back. We don't need to worry about those today. They're not on the docket. That said, I do need to remove these two guys. Knee pads are 100% in the way because we need to paint behind them. And yeah, that should be where we are. I'm going to keep you not too far away because we're going to want that later on. Okay. So let's actually start doing the thing with the stuff. All right, and thankfully we're using small amounts, so I can just take this right out of the cap, and as we run out of stuff, I can just keep adding, or keep kind of going from there. So I'm going to try to do this in such a way the camera is not right in front of my face, which is always very possible. And like I said, this is, just be prepared, this is going to look very, very wrong from the start, and then I will likely do the final coat next session, and it will all make sense at that point. So it will all make sense in the end. That said, I don't need to worry super much about cutting in. Super nice again. The terminating, I don't know if that's the correct term we use at work, cutting in to refer to when you're painting up against an edge from one element that's different than the next element next to it. We just call that cutting in. So I don't need to worry too much about that on this one because I'm always going to be doing the next part afterwards anyway. So we're going to be doing the shirt. We're going to be doing these kind of shoulder pads and all that later. So if I get anything on one of those elements, it's not going to matter. So this is the nice thing about doing like the very beginnings and the first coats, was it none of this stuff matters at all. We can just kind of, sorry. And I also realized I actually started looking at the colors earlier today, and there's really not as much color variety as I thought. When you first look at it, your eye goes towards that camouflage area. It's like, oh man, what am I getting myself into? But everything else, I didn't realize just how much the boots are the same color as the straps, the same color as the leather stuff, the same color as the underneath, the same color as the belt. It's like this whole thing is just, you have a light gray and you have everything else. And it's just, there's not as much variety as I thought it was when I was just kind of casually glancing in at it. So hopefully that'll make things a little more expedient. We'll see. I don't know why I keep thinking I want this, like, oh, I want this to be done faster. I want this to be done faster. And I feel bad if I give that impression. It's just, you get to kind of a certain point, you're like, it's not that I want to be done. It's like, I want to see what this is going to look like. It's that anticipation. Does everything I want it to be, did it turn out the way I want it to turn out kind of deal? So I'm in that kind of mindset now of like, yes, I want to see this. So I can't wait until I see this. I can't wait until it's done. It's like, I just can't wait till I can actually see a finished product. All right, we do need some fingers going on here. Because these are fingerless gloves. All of a sudden I stopped talking for a second. It felt very quiet. And it's going to be very important to get every little piece that we can, otherwise this white will just stand out super starkly in the end, especially as we get more colors on. If we miss any white spots, they will stand out even more so. So it's kind of very important to make sure we get everything cut in. It's nice to get everything done on the first coat, because the more you get cut in nicely and painted nicely on the first coat, kind of the less you need to worry about that on the second, especially kind of trying to get these little kind of detail-y things, because then if you don't get all the way to an edge, it's generally okay. Then again, there's going to be a change in color from this coat to the next coat, so on this particular element that may not be a thing. But in general, you want to be really, really good on the first coat so that when you come back next time, it makes it just a little less hairy the next time through. All right, that's it. We now have you're in there, so that's all good. Where can I stick? You know what? You can just go. You can just do that. That's all good. Arm number 2. All right. Or if we go in terms of when I built this thing, this was the first arm. All right, let's make her sunburned. That's what this is going to be all about. Making the sunburn. Yes, my estimate on this was around 10 hours for painting, but we will see. Then again, every other time I've said things are going to go faster than I thought they were going to, I lied and they didn't. I'm like, oh yeah, I can carve that rifle. I'll get that done today. It took like 2.5. Plus assembly of parts. So, yep. Sometimes I'm not so great at estimating things. But at least now, from here on out, as I keep going through, things are going to start actually being, not this session, but starting next session, we're going to start actually finishing things off as we go. This one is just a first coat. Nothing is ever going to be done on a first coat. That's just part of life. It will take multiple coats. You see those TV commercials and whatnot of people painting the rooms and like, oh, I have this paint and primer in one. I can do it all in one coat and be done. And yes, those paint and primer in ones do actually work really well. You can do those. There are some, if you go from one color to another, depending how far off you can actually do those things in one coat. So I'm not going to knock it on that. That said, when we are painting things at work, we're still generally doing a priming coat and 2 coats and 2 top coats if we're like painting walls or whatnot. If only because that will, if you're rolling them on, that's going to apply a texture to the wall as well. And if you're just doing 1 coat, you're not going to get that really good roller texture on there. So yes, there are times it can get things done in 1 coat, but you do miss out on other areas like that certain tactile feel you'll get with it. So I know that may not mean anything to some people, but it does make a difference. It does make it feel right. It makes it look right. The sheen comes off. You have light hitting it. The sheen just feels right that way. So yeah, it's worth it sometimes. Sometimes you wonder why you go the extra mile kind of do things, but it is worth it in the end, and it does look and feel better when you do things the right way. Or at least you don't skimp out on doing certain things. Am I on? Oh, I'm 100% on camera. Awesome. I don't know why for a second I didn't think the camera was tilted down. I was like, no. All you hear is me talking and seeing nothing. Wouldn't be the first time. That is glove. Don't worry about the glove part. Okay, I believe you're good. Actually, I'm just going to pull you in just in case the arm isn't popping on super nice. We're just going to put a layer of the skin down here. Like I said, just in case the arm's not hooking in super correctly again and it decides to be dumb. Let's do this. Get right to the edge. Alright, same as on the other side. We'll do the same as the neck. And then we'll get to the face. Alright, almost there. I'm also running out of paint in my little handy dandy jar they have going on here. So I'm gonna get myself some more. After I do the neck, might as well finish off this area, but I do have enough in here to do this. Thankfully, this paint goes very far, so I don't need to buy any more stuff for probably any of this. I think between what I have and what I can mix from here, I should be fine. So if you're ever wondering how much one of these models costs to make, figure for the ones that I do, I have approximately 1 pound worth of clay, which when I bought the 3 pounds last time, I think I'm out to about 16 or 17. I think it used to be about 16. I think I got it for like $17 a pound. So I figured about $17 for that. And this is going to be, I can just make that the red. Down there is not going to matter. I can just make that the red. Yeah, I think it's about $17 for the clay, and figure between The paints, I'll just throw another three and just say it's going to be probably around $20 total for everything when all is said and done. So they're not that. So in terms of, as far as hobbies go, this isn't that bad. You want to play a round of golf, you're playing like at least twice that. And that will get you 3 hours. Or more, depending how good or not good you are at the game. This, spend $20, and I have, well, this took like, it used to be about like 3 weeks, to 2 to 3 weeks to do a model. Now, because of the whole recording thing, the setup time, and having a schedule and all that, yes, it's taken like 2 months. But even so, it's not too bad. Selling wise, who knows? I think if I were to ever sell one of these things, let's say one of these goes for like $100 if you're trying to sell it. Well, if it takes 40 hours to make and you want to sell it for $100, congratulations, you just made $250 an hour. So this is not something that's going to make anybody rich. This is not the hobby to make anybody rich with. So let's just throw that one out there. Actually, it's $250. Then you have to subtract the $20 to make it with down to $2 an hour. So if you plan on doing this as a hobby that you want to turn into a side gig, side business kind of thing, yeah, maybe if you are amazing at your craft and you have all the skill in the world and you make the thing that's subject matter that everybody wants, maybe you can do fine. But generally speaking, this is just going to be for yourself and to have a good time with. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to get out of this. Okay, so I need to remember I don't need to paint the eyes themselves. We're going to get those at a different point in time. Although, again, this is just the very first coat of everything, so if I do have skin tone that touches that, I'm not really worrying about that. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I'm missing. Okay. This is as callous as it sounds like I'm going towards some of these things. Once we do get into the next coats, yes, I will be paying a lot more attention to being nice and cutting it nicely and having everything kind of work out perfectly. It's just this, for this particular part, it's not super important. Yes, it feels better doing it good. At least now the eyes can stand out a little bit. We have something that stands out just a little, but okay, and I can't tell whether I'm looking at sheen in certain areas or just little white spots that I missed. And it could be either. I don't know. And yeah, there's nothing on here, nothing else that takes skin tones. That's just a hat. So you can put you over here and let you, that wasn't the one you started in one of these holes. Good enough. Good enough. Okay. There's our skin tone. How are we doing on time? 24 minutes. We in there. All right. All right, I'm just kind of cleaning out the brush real quick because I don't want that to go bad. Okay, so with that done, time to work on the pants. And I don't need this brush anymore, don't need you anymore, so let's move those back out of the way. Now I still double cup these. Once I have everything done, I take it out. I've had stuff eat through these cups before. I think it was tile cleaner. So, but I still just double cup in here just in case. All right, so we're gonna have predominantly the gray. I'm going to mix some of the mocha in, and actually we'll see if it looks like it's still a little dark. I don't know why I need that. We could put, that's going to have a little more of the pants showing, so we can just go with that. All right, this is not the semi-gloss stuff. All right, so I'm doing it. I want to have enough to get at least the 2 coats out of when I do this. So I want to mix enough in here, because that way, once I mix it once, that's going to be it. If it's right, it's right. And I forgot to bring out one important thing. I need a little mixer stick. I need my little mixer stick. It would be very, very nice to have. Nice to have one of these little guys. It's gonna be super useful. Okay, right now the gray's not looking too bad. I don't think I shook this. Okay, let's see what we have going on here. So I want just a little bit, just to kind of, that might have been a little too much. Yeah, it's not too bad. That gives it, I don't know if you can see the difference in there. This feels, yeah, it doesn't feel as pristine as that original gray did. I think darkness-wise, we might not be too bad. I think we're just going to go with it and see what happens. I think we're going to be okay. So let me move that out of the way. I brought you out. I just want to make sure that is, yeah, the pants here are the only things that employ that. So let's move the arms out there. I want to take you off so I can actually hold things nicer. And once again, we're going to start from the bottom and kind of go up from there. Oh, my sleeves are rolling down. Okay. So as with before, if we get paint where it doesn't need to be, I'm not super concerned about that. And we are kind of starting with this nice little area here. So I can just kind of see how the color feels going on and see if I want to change it just a little bit. You know what, I'm going to add a little more gray. We're going to go a little more gray to this. Put on just a little too much mocha. I don't think that gray did anything. But even so, it's a first coat, so if it doesn't wind up perfect, it's a first coat. That is the good news on this front. There will be more coats. I promise. Alright, how are we doing? We need to get kind of... Once again, the primer got into some pretty impressive places, and we need to do just the same with this. Or else we get ourselves in trouble. Like I said, that primer will stand out like a sore thumb if we don't. Alright, did I get all the way down? No, I never even got all the way down in there. Okay, we have by the knees. We have, yeah, you start. Yeah, we don't want to fill in these. Don't want to fill in the holes. We need those. So let's not lose track of them. All I'm beginning to think this doesn't look very gray at all. So our second coat, we're going to just scrap this whole thing. Start with more gray again, and just do a tinier touch of this other stuff. But let's go. I am where I am now. I'll finish out this coat, but this is not the right color. But again, for a first coat, that's not a problem. That is the nice part with this is, as long as you're close, you can then just do one more coat in the right color and it will come back. So on the painting side of things, very little worries me at this point. If you want to know things that are worrying, go back and watch the Bang video where I painted the green the first time. That first coat of green I did was so far off. It was so bad. And we brought that into a really nice color. It's not the Bang accurate green. It didn't 100% match his character in the game, but I think it fit really, really well in the end. And that started from abysmally the wrong color. And this one is, I'm not going to say it's right, but it's not so far off that it's going to be any kind of issue. It's just I really only need like a drop or two of a neutral color, not the amount that I put in. This is actually looking more skin tone. Oh well. What am I looking at now? We're looking at underneath, kind of between the strap and this kind of semicircle detail-y thing. All right, and this is where it's advantageous to have nice crisp lines when you're doing the modeling side, because the individual brushes, the bristles on the brush will kind of hit those points and can kind of follow along. So you may not see in the end like nice straight lines, whatever, if you have the modeling, but your brush will find them and it will make the painting side much, much easier or much, much harder, depending how well or not well you do that part. This particular element wasn't done all that bad. Well, this is going to look really awkward because it has kind of a skin tone look to it, so yeah, be prepared for that to have skin tone look. It's just going to be what it's going to be. For this coat. Again, when we get into the next session and we come back and have actual skin tone and a grayer look, it will look much nicer. I am really kind of amazed how much of that natural buff color actually came through on this, as opposed to the gray color. That was natural buff, right? Oh no, this was mocha. Natural buff was that one. We didn't use that one. We used mocha. Surprised how much of this mocha came through. Considering it's like maybe not even 20% of the mix altogether, and it has taken over. So that wasn't supposed to be colored. That's fine. Just get a little bit of that off. We don't need that. That's actually the black color. That's actually the black color, or light black, or whatever terminology I use for it. I get up in there. Still on camera. Good. Good, good, good. Yeah, we are just going to be adding just a drop or two of that natural, of the mocha to the gray next time. We are definitely not adding nearly this much. As I'm getting to larger and larger places, I'm realizing this is looking even more and less gray and more almost skin tony. Oh well, we'll figure things out as we go. It will all work in the end. That's the important part. As long as you can identify kind of mishaps or mistakes and all that early on, it's all good. It's just the reason I'm continuing all the way with this rather than kind of stopping where I was is so if I redo something, everything has the same base coat on it, so they will all read the same when I do the next coat. Otherwise, if I don't do this, I don't want to have two kind of different looking areas. And again, in terms of real estate wise, it's really not that much that gets covered by this. For the amount that gray kind of stands out, there really isn't that much of it that shows. Because I think that's really it. We get that, and we get that, and that's... Oh, I can't tell if things are shine or if things are mist. That wasn't cut in very good. That was definitely mist. I don't know if you saw it. I 100% did. That's mist. All right, so we're going to start with that. And I'm debating on this whether to have the kind of under leather and this other stuff be two separate different colors or whether they're exactly the same. It's depending which image I'm going off on the side, it's kind of hard to tell. So, I'm just going to throw this color in a bag to begin with. These are all bags left over from the bang one. Just in case I want to come back to that for some reason, but I don't think this one's going to be used again. I'm going to put that off to the side. Let's get my water. How are we doing on time? We are 40 minutes in, not even 40 minutes, so let's do a quick coat of something on the hair. Hair again is going to be wild because I have no real idea what color that is, again depending which view we go from. Even then, this is an in-game one where it looks kind of blackish. We come here where it comes a lot lighter. Again, we come to the side, it's blackish again. So I think I'm going to trend darker on this first coat, and we're just going to see how it feels and then go from there. All right, so let's see. You guys are done and out of here. I'm not going 100% black. That's for sure. So let's start with our brown and black. If I remember correctly, the brown does not cover anything well at all. It was super, super blotchy. I think brown on its own is going to be one of those like 5-coat deals. The second you add black to it, it covers in like a coat, which is awesome. Let's start with a bit of brown. Realize I've been using a lot of the blacks, which is kind of is there. I'm going to start with just a little. I say it's a little bit, that's probably more than just a little. Because I know once you start adding black, it does some things. And we're probably in a range where, again, this is darker than what I have on the side there. We come back, it's pretty close to this. You know, what do we have? I have a golden. Let's just do a touch of golden. Just a couple drops. Try to find our happy place kind of in between the colors, which will probably please nothing in the end, but... Alright, let's see how that works. It's probably close to one of those images. Because again, none of them match up, so... let's save that for last. We got you. We got some hair. And yeah, face is already dry enough to work with. And again, this is coming from the satin collection I have, so in the end, this should have a little bit of a shine. And now we do kind of need to pay attention to how we cut in these edges. We want the white gone, but we don't necessarily want to hit the skin. Which again, it's not terrible if we do. There's going to be more skin color coming up. But okay, I'm actually kind of liking this color. It's definitely not the blacks, but they're definitely trending towards that. The brown. I have the wrong image up on the side of the computer. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna change that image. Yeah, I think we're trending more towards this one, which I think I kind of like more than the others. So I'm gonna go with that for right now. And then we're just gonna see how this goes. Again, if nothing else, for protection's sake, I'm going to do a full coat over everything, even if we don't see these elements. It helps protect from keep like things like moisture and stuff out, and it just, in my mind, it's just good practice to go over and just do all the stuff. All right, what do we have here? Well, technically, if I do have something that hits the skin, I can just like, oh, well, individual hair follicles can go and do that. That's fine. So I could say that, but at the same time, part of me has pride in what I'm doing here, and I'd rather not. I tend to be very good at painting at my job when we get to those types of things. I'm very kind of proficient. I'm very neat. I can do the cut-ins against stuff nicely. I've cut in against wood, cut in against other colors, cut in against carpet, cut in against you name it. I've done it before. It works. So I do want to do this part nice, just because from a professional standpoint, it would look really bad if I don't. Alright, we're almost there on this part of the hair. The other part has less cutting into, so should be a little bit easier. Granted, there's a lot more quantity of hair on the other part. It's just, in general, less I need to be concerned with in terms of something going wrong. Don't fall off the pole. Whatever you do, don't fall off the pole. Now the problem is some of these brushes are starting to get a little older, so I might need to go and pick up some more really good kind of good cut-in things, because some of these may have issues with certain stuff. I mean, I'm not sure this brush is really what I want to do the eyebrows with, but if we have a first coat, maybe I can just make this. Boop. One eyebrow is not like the other. Come on. It's like I need the brush to hit. At least that gives us a start on that. I'm gonna put that to the side. Gonna get you out, and this should be a little bit easier, because outside of just where it touches kind of this hat, there's a lot less actual stuff to concern ourselves with. Am I on camera? I am. If I go up, how about if I do a little bit of that? That way I can rest my hand down here. I don't need to hold it up the entire time. Alright, what's our time? Yep, we're just going to finish this part off, and that's going to be where this session ends. And next time it's going to be mostly kind of the same elements. I want to get this part done before we move on to the next thing, which probably after this is going to be the blacks and the reds, I think, coming up next. And then we're going to start getting into the... Yeah, after that we start getting into the fun stuff. But there's a lot of black that goes on here, so that might take just some time just because of quantity issues. Come on, get this done. Get this done. Get all the parts and make it work. I'm starting to sound really bored during these things, and I don't want to sound really bored during these things because I'm actually enjoying myself. It would be a lie if I sounded bored. It's just I don't have a super exciting voice in general. Although the other day I did go and rewatch parts of my Night Witch one that I'd never actually put out, kind of as my starter kind of model for this type of thing, and wow, I don't think I'm ever going to put those things out online. I have so little energy during, at least the videos that I saw, I have so little energy during any of those discussions. It's so bad. So I may not be great now, but I have definitely improved since that point in time. Yeah, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm getting used to talking in front of a camera and doing what I'm doing, but It is always awkward when you go back afterwards, because when you first kind of do something, you have that rose-colored glasses look like, oh, this is awesome, never done it before, this is great, this is new, and then you kind of come back like months later and you're like, ooh, really? Ooh, that's not good. What was I thinking? I've definitely had models like that I've done where I loved them as I got through, and then all of a sudden you come back later and it's like, compared to everything else I've done, this is, ooh. Yeah, it was cool at the time, but it hasn't aged well. And that happens. At least I'm not one of those people who hates the stuff I do right off the bat. You get a lot of people that's like, they'll run a race or something and they hate their time instantly, and there's always that bit of, I wish I can do it better, but I'm generally not hating times I have during races. I'm generally not hating the models and stuff I do as they come out. I'm generally liking stuff. Or if I do have bad times, I generally know what I did to cause it, so I'm not super terrible at that. I'm hoping my parents aren't watching this and going, what is he talking about? He always complains. But, yeah, no, I'm getting over that. I generally enjoy the stuff I'm doing here. Just, yeah, when you come back a couple months later and you don't have those rose-colored glasses anymore, sometimes it's a little rough kind of looking at it and going, I wish I could put myself in that mindset when I did it again, when I thought this was great. I want to see this with those eyes again. Now, right now we're just doing the easy stuff, and we're going to be working our way towards. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do the camouflage. I have a couple ideas how I can paint the camouflage stuff nicely to make it look nice, crisp, and clean. But I haven't really finalized how I'm going to go about doing that. So that's going to be another one of those where we are all going to be learning together. Kind of like I'm going to be learning how to try to get paint in every part of this hair that I possibly can and not miss anything. Because I know when I did bangs, I think I finished the second coat. I did the primer, did the 2 coats, came back afterwards, and I still noticed I had missed stuff. And it felt really bad. But I know that's going to happen here too. There's less hair to worry about, but it's still going to happen here. It's almost all but guaranteed. I can already see I didn't cut in very well. Get that brush in there as far as we can. Okay, I'm looking like I have everything, I think. That's probably a lie. I'm almost certain that's going to be a lie. I'm not liking the blotchiness of this. Somehow browns always come out ridiculously blotchy on like the first several. Brown is another one. Reds take forever to get. Greens take a lot of coats. Browns also take a lot of coats. So I don't see this one being done in 2. Even if I keep the exact same color, I don't see this being done in 2. Yeah, we're just gonna do this. I can do that. Aha. All right. Let's go clean this out. And put things together a little bit, see if we made any kind of visual difference whatsoever. And that's where we're going to call the video. I'm not going to put everything, I don't need to put the knee pads and stuff on. We just to get a general overview. I am still, that yoga pant part, just, it's like 5 parts gray, 1 part mocha, and the mocha 1. I don't understand colors sometimes. But if we stick you up here, the nice part about this is these acrylics do dry very, very quickly. So we can just kind of, I'm even going to keep that off, and that just means it's the head that goes up next. Whoop. And there we go. If I were to stick you on there, just I see a little white in there. There we go. We're starting to get beginnings of something going on. I can't really type too much stuff in here to twist you all the way around. But we have a beginning. And next time the skin will be less pink, and this will be much more gray. And the hair's probably going to be about the same, only less blotchy. So until then, and until next time, well, enjoy.